A high court in Trinidad and Tobago rules that sex between consenting males is not a crime. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, September 20. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Sex between two consenting male adults in Trinidad and Tobago is no longer illegal. Back in April, High Court Judge Davendra Rampersad ruled that Sections 13 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act, which criminalizes buggery and serious indecency even between consenting adults, is unconstitutional. And delivering a 14-page ruling at the Hall of Justice in Port of Spain Thursday morning, Rampersad modified the legislation to introduce the element of consent. Although the law was not struck out completely, the amendment ensures that consenting adult males will not be liable to face criminal charges if they engage in consensual sex. But in an immediate response, Attorney General Faris Alwari said the state intends to file an appeal against the ruling. He said the case is a matter of importance that must be settled before the London-based Privy Council and the country's highest and final court to receive a comprehensive judicial determination on the controversial issue. We get more in this TTT Live news report.
Recommendation from the courts for this country's sodomy laws to be amended to make consensual sex in same-sex unions legal. Justice Devendra Rampersad today gave his final ruling in the landmark ruling of Jason Jones, who successfully challenged certain sections of the Sexual Offences Act. While he gave his ruling today, Justice Rampersad refused to grant a stay of execution of the declarations, so the state can appeal the decision. In his decision, Justice Rampersad said the most non-intrusive manner in which to resolve the issue of criminalizing consensual same-sex relations would be to modify the sections.
The United States has named 2 Trinidad and Tobago nationals as financiers of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS. The U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFCA, named Imran Ali and Eddie Ilong, that's Aliong, as those assisting in financing the operations of the terrorist group. It said in the case of Ali, the Syria-based dual U.S. and Trinidadian national was designated for acting for or on behalf of ISIS. He has allegedly been involved in money transfer from Trinidad and Tobago to Syria in support of ISIS, and also, as of January last year, he would receive and provide funds to Trinidadian ISIS fighters. OFCA said for several years, a number of citizens of Trinidad and Tobago in Syria received money transfers through Ali. Aliong, meantime, was designated for assisting in sponsoring or providing financial, material, or technological support for or financial or other services to or in support of ISIS. OFAC said he facilitated money transfers to ISIS members in ISIS-controlled territory, and up to January last year, a Trinidadian ISIS supporter possibly planned to work with him to transfer funds to Ali, who would then provide the funds to Trinidadian ISIS fighters in Syria. Staying in Trinidad and Tobago, the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, the OWTU, says it has attracted an international investor interested in entering a joint venture to lease the refinery of the state-owned oil company Petrotrin, which is scheduled to cease operations later this year. The union on Wednesday presented its proposal to the Petrotrin board in a last-ditched attempt to avoid the closure, which would result in the loss of thousands of jobs.
We have concrete proposals. We are with concrete business interests, investors, and so on. Call it what you may.
The union's belief that the refinery can be saved, in turn saving the jobs of all those at Petrotrin, remains very much alive. After making a presentation of their proposal to the Petrotrin board at Hyatt in Port of Spain Wednesday morning, OWTU President General Ansel Roger said it was well received and the two bodies are due to meet again next week, Thursday. He said in the meantime, the union will be moving forward with discussions with parties interested in partnering to lease the refinery. In fact, he claimed an official declaration of interest from one party has already been received.
We are saying our proposal has been couched in that context to allow for a lease arrangement while the people of the country still owns the asset, but at the same time, We are removing from them any headache or heartache or pain or suffering or crocodile tears that they will cry about their inability to operate these assets.
And that report was from Joshua Simangal of TV6 News. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has expressed disappointment at the concerns raised by the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry about the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Guyana and the Twin Island Republic. The leaders of the two countries said the MOU had been long in making, and Guyana's President David Granger said there was nothing in the MOU that sought to harm the interests of either country. And both leaders debunked concerns that Guyana would be on the losing end of any agreement. They said both countries stand to benefit. We get more in this HGP Nightly News report.
President David Granger on Wednesday sought to allay concerns that there is going to be a takeover of Guyana's energy sector by the Trinidadians. Trinidad had openly expressed an interest in offering help to Guyana to manage this country's newly found fortune. Speaking after the signing of a MOU on energy cooperation between the two countries on Wednesday, President Granger assured that there will not be a sellout to the Trinidadians.
There were some unjustified fears that Guyana is giving away the family jewels, but that can't be true. It is simply a means of collaborating. Trinidad is bringing years of experience, not only in production, but also in marketing, in gas, in oil spills, in dealing with multinational corporations.
I can only say that for me, that is disappointing, because we are working towards ensuring that we as a people, not just a people of Trinidad and Tobago, but a people of the CARICOM, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, do better for all ourselves.
The Trinidadian Prime Minister assured that his country is merely extending an act of good neighborliness.
To the extent that there is any potential takeover, which I don't think is happening or is going to happen, it is simply the participation of a good neighbor working with those who have the need for our presence, maybe our finance or our entrepreneurial skills.
Prime Minister Rowley would go on to vaunt of his country's achievements and recall how Trinidad had helped Guyana in the past. Trinidad and Tobago has been in the oil business for more than a century, and it is no doubt that the country had its fair share of challenges. Prime Minister Rowley was asked what advice he would have for Guyana in light of the country's new and emerging oil sector.
Well, I would not pretend to want to give public advice to my colleague, but I do know that given the fact that Trinidad and Tobago has been in this business for so long, and that we have engaged in very much of what you will be engaging in, whatever our experience has been, good, bad, or indifferent, it would do Guyana well to know what that experience is, even if it's not taken as advice.
Grenada's Governor-General Dame Cécile Lagrenade has issued the writ that will provide for the Parliamentary Elections Office to conduct a November 6th referendum on whether the island should replace the London-based Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, as its final court. The writ was issued on Tuesday, 4 days after the Senate approved the CCJ bill that had already received approval from the House of Representatives. Supervisor of Elections Alex Phillips said that as a result of the issuing of the writ, the final day for voter registration will be September 28th. As of September 14, the total number of registered voters stood at 78,889. The November 6th poll will be the second opportunity that Grenadians will have to vote on the Trinidad-based CCJ replacing the Privy Council. A previous attempt in November 2016 failed to get the required support. Grenadians will vote on the same day as citizens of Antigua and Barbuda. In both countries, a two-thirds majority is needed for the CCJ move to become a reality. And meanwhile, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has reiterated the need for a non-partisan approach to the referendum in his country. Speaking at the launch of the national consultation on the Privy Council and the CCJ, Brown recalled that when the first attempt had been made to put the matter to a referendum last year, his government had solicited the support of then CCJ President Sir Dennis Byron to get the two main political parties to sign an agreement ensuring a bipartisan approach to the issue.
We're not seeking to go this alone. This is not a Labour Party issue. What we're seeking to do here is to have mature discussions about the issues with the understanding that we'll come to some common ground on the way forward. And very potent arguments have been made this evening. Arguments in favor of the CCJ and arguments against. But I remain very hopeful that we could find common ground. Because at the end of the day, what I've gleaned from the various speakers is that we all agree that that transition from the Privy Council to the CCJ has to be made.
Brown acknowledged that there are fears about whether the move would be the right one, given that similar referenda in other Caribbean territories had previously failed. He told the audience, however, that is why his administration was seeking to galvanize the entire country to reach common ground and to make that transition as soon as possible.
Let's face it, colleagues. It is very difficult for a government to win a referendum on a simple majority, much less a majority of 67%. And it cannot be achieved by any single party. If the UPP was in government today, they would not be able to achieve it on their own. And we know that we cannot achieve it on our own. And that is why we're seeking to galvanize the entire country so that we can come to some common ground and to make that transition as soon as possible. In fact, it is overdue.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Belize sends a protest note to Guatemala. We'll tell you why after the break. Stay with us.
Engineers in the Tobago House of Assembly have an opportunity to enhance their knowledge and technical skills in areas like design, construction management, and project management. This follows the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the THA and the China Railway Construction Caribbean Company Limited, CRCC.
Our engineers can really learn from the exchange.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Belize has sent a protest note to Guatemala's Ministry of Foreign Affairs about two recent encounters between the Belize Territorial Volunteers, the BTV, and Guatemala's armed forces. The incidents occurred last Friday and Saturday when the BTV went out scouting and conducting their Sastoon Island Echo Challenge, a kayak competition to raise awareness of the territorial dispute. The Guatemala armed forces blocked and prevented the BTV from navigating the Sastoon River, even though they were in Belize's territory. In the note sent to Guatemala, Belize said it protested in the strongest terms, and I quote, "this blatant violation of Belize's territorial integrity caused by the incursion of uniformed and armed members of the Guatemalan army into Belizean waters, their unfriendly and their illegal prevention of the right of Belizean vessels and citizens to peacefully and freely navigate the Sastun River." End of quote. It called the Guatemalan Armed Forces actions unfriendly and provocative and urged the Guatemalan Foreign Ministry to instruct the army to desist from that threatening and provocative behavior. Belize Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Earlington said the protest note had to be sent because the action of the Guatemalan army were out of order.
We did not only send the protest note, but we are also in close contact with the opposition on it. Because clearly the Guatemalans were wrong to do what they did. There is no doubt about that. They were wrong. But two wrongs don't make a right. And in that wrong that they did, I mean, unless you are very careful, you can spark a situation that you can't control. You see? It's not that we don't know what they're doing from time to time is wrong. We know. But you have to manage crisis because it can always get worse.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition, John Brasinio, says the protest note came too late. He believes that the Dean Barrow administration must ramp up pressure against its neighbor and inform the international community of its illegal behavior against Belize.
It took a long time to give a protest note. We are very disappointed, and we have been calling out the government for a very long time that we need to have a Sastun protocol. When we were actively involved in the work along with Guatemala, we were pushing for us to sign a protocol. We prepared our first draft of that protocol, but it seems that it's not going anywhere. I think that as a government we can do more. I think we can put more pressure on Guatemala and to make sure that maybe we need to spread this out beyond Guatemala and Belize, and making sure that all the friends of Belize and that all the countries as well in the United Nations to be aware of the illegal behavior of Guatemala trying to take a portion of the Sastun River that we know and they know rightfully belongs to Belize.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Grenada's Prime Minister wants an account of money spent on the Grenada Invitational Track and Field Meet. Stay with us. Sport is next.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. During the storm or hurricane warning, shut off main electrical breaker.
Imagine a tropical getaway where you can indulge in unsurpassed cuisine, culture and adventure this side of the hemisphere at a special rate. Fall for Barbados this October and dive into the rich offerings of the Caribbean Sea, or hear the stirring melodies of jazz at the Elan Trotman Jazz Excursion. Explore fine dining with our world-renowned Barbados Food and Rum Festival. Journey to our many attractions. There is so much to see and do in Barbados this October. Book today with code #4BGI.
Queen Ifrica premiered her new video Black Woman in celebration of Women's Equality Day. Featuring on her album Climb, the lyrically and musically powerful anthem paints the message of Black women protecting themselves and uplifting each other. Filmed in Jamaica, the video features Black women of all ages and occupations, while Queen Ifrica regally dressed in African garb.
Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell is calling on the local organizing committee of the Grenada Invitational to account for money spent on the event that took place in April. His call comes in the wake of the resignation of the meet's founder Michael Bascom following revelations that the company had failed to meet its financial obligations to some service providers and athletes. Dr. Mitchell says the matter could potentially hurt the country's international image.
They have to sort out their individual problems. It's not about an individual resigning. That's not our key concerns. Our concern is mainly if government supports something and the image of the country is involved. And of course, if we have invested resources, government resources, it has to be accounted for.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell has called recent developments of the Grenada Invitational unfortunate. His comments come one day after chairman of the committee, Michael Bascom, confirmed his resignation with the media, citing the committee's apparent basic disregard for accountability. Dr. Mitchell was concerned that the country's image on the international front is at stake.
It certainly come to me, and I'm the Minister of Finance. I've heard rumors, but I certainly have not. It has not been. As I said, government supported the activity based on what we thought was good, and we believe it went well for the country. And the government insisted that the monies must be accounted for. And so far, we have not got an account for what we have given and supported. Statutory bodies invested monies. So that's what we want, just like we call on other government departments to account for resources spent. Everyone has to account. I have to account. The Governor General has to account. Everyone must.
Earlier this year, government signed a MOU with the Local Organizing Committee, LOC, for the next 3 years to provide technical support both in cash and kind. Dr. Mitchell said the Minister of Sport is expected to meet with organizers on this matter as soon as possible.
So we are concerned because the image of the country is involved, and we clearly would want them to come to terms with this. And the Minister of Sports will be engaging the parties involved, and not just the person who was resigned, but clearly other members of the Invitational. They will be engaged and to see how that best we can solve this problem and go forward. What I could say is that government resources will not be put into something where the monies are not being accounted for.
The Prime Minister indicated that the government is still prepared to back the Grenada Invitational in the future, as long as the committee can account for government's financial resources.
As long as the athletes are going to be coming, as long as the Invitational can be successfully implemented, as long as people will account for government resources invested in it, then certainly we will support. But we have to be assured that is not going to be business as usual.
An email issued by Michael Bascom on Tuesday indicated several reasons for his resignation and cited the inability of the Treasurer to provide an account of committee financing and outstanding bills.
Switching sport now, a tropical wave dumped persistent rain across Barbados on Wednesday, ruining the second one-day international between West Indies and South Africa and forcing a no result in the contest at the Kensington Oval. Sent in following a delayed start and with the match reduced to 38 overs per side, South Africa piled up a tricky total of 177 for 8 with captain Dane van Niekerk top scoring with 52. Chloe Tryon chipped in with a busy 37. Lizelle Lee got 22, while Suni Lewis scored 20 as the tourists recovered from a shaky start to get up to the competitive total. Seema Deandra Doughton was the best West Indies bowler with 3 for 29 to claim player of the match honours. However, rain returned during the innings interval, forcing match officials to abandon the game at 3:45 p.m. before Windies women could start their reply. The result left Saturday's final match as a crucial one for both sides. While the Windies will be hoping to win in order to draw the series, the Proteas will be looking for victory to earn an elusive series win in the Caribbean. Windies lost Sunday's opener by 40 runs to fall behind 1-0 in the series. West Indies all-rounder Andre Russell and experienced batsman Marlon Samuels have been left out of the Jamaica Scorpions 14-man squad to compete in next month's regional Super 50 tournament. According to the Jamaica Observer, the 30-year-old Russell made himself unavailable in order to undergo a minor medical procedure on his bothersome knee. The 37-year-old Marlon Samuels has also not been selected, and it is rumored that he will be named to captain the West Indies B team. However, power hitters Chris Gayle and Rovman Powell will turn out for the national side, even if for just a couple matches. Gayle is set to be replaced by left-hand opener John Campbell, while pace bowling all-rounder Deverell Green is to step in for Powell. Also included in the squad is West Indies fast bowler Jerome Taylor, who missed the Super 50 competition last season but is currently representing Somerset at the tail end of their T20 campaign in England. Left-arm finger spinner Nikita Miller is the Scorpions' captain, while Robert Samuels is to remain head coach. Meanwhile, renowned cricket commentator Ian Bishop is defending Andre Russell's stewardship of Jamaica Tallawahs during the just concluded Caribbean Premier League. Also in this report from TVJ's Jermaine Brown, the revered commentator applauded the efforts of O'Shane Thomas and Fabian Aline during the tournament.
Noted cricket commentator as well as noted cricket commentator believes criticisms of Andre Russell's captaincy of the Jamaica Tallawahs during this season's Caribbean Premier League are unfair. The Tallawahs were beaten by the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots in the playoffs of the CPL, and the 30-year-old in his first year as captain was questioned for his certain decisions throughout the tournament. He also received a backlash for his outbursts during interviews, which included blasting the owners of the franchise to play home games in Florida and slamming the umpiring decisions. However, speaking on Hits 92 FM's Sports Grill on Tuesday, Bishop says Russell deserved more leeway and will improve going forward.
And around the Caribbean have to understand the guy is captaining the first time at senior level in the heat of a CPL tournament. So that is always going to be a learning process. And I thought he calmed down as he went deeper. Yes. Still has some work to do on his strategy. I still believe that he needs to give himself more time with the bat rather than coming in and trying to tee off from ball one. But he definitely improved for me.
Meanwhile,
and that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tennis is a sport where you can create a lot of wealth. Tennis and golf is different from just about any other sport. You can say whatever you want to say about the NBA. You can say whatever you want to say about the WNBA, any of those sports. But tennis is truly a global sport. When you see a Serena Williams attending the royal wedding and on the cover of these magazines as an American, it tells you what this sport is. It is the elite of sport. It is the establishment of sports.
Peter is the original love prince. He's a person who sings, performs songs, not just for the ladies, or mostly for the ladies, but also positive, uplifting songs. Right? So when you think about Papito, you think about the love prince, not just love for the ladies, but love for life, appreciation for life. You know what I mean? That's me.
Tell us what's your real name and where you're from.
So my name is Garner Ferguson. I'm originally from St. Mary.
Again, the major developments of this day: a High Court in Trinidad and Tobago rules that sex between consenting males is not a crime. And in sport, Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell wants an account of money spent on the Grenada Invitational Track and Field Meet. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CarnaNews.com. And for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and subscribe to CaribVision's YouTube channel. We'll be back here again on Monday. Well, that would be tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a very good and safe night.